Monday night, and we are live just past 9 o'clock. We have had a fantastic, action-packed weekend of playoff football, and because the Colts are not in it, it's actually been enjoyable for once. And joining me on the road staff tonight is the usual familiar face in Nathan, who is going to help me discuss the topics of CJ Stroud forgetting that footballing gods exist. Caleb Williams doing his best Anthony Richardson impression, and the San Francisco 49ers finally realizing they might need some starters to win a playoff game. So joining me tonight, Nathan, do you want to just tell the people what 2,564 days stands for?
Yeah, of course. I think any keen Colts fan amongst the internet viewers or Spotify listeners, thank you if you listen to us on Spotify, will maybe realise that that's referencing the last Colts playoff win, which takes us all the way back to 2018.
2018 was also full of hope, and Andrew Luck was coming back for another year.
Yes, what a pitiful year that turned out to be for Colts football. But it was pretty funny. Before we came live, I had the season stats up in front of me, and Harrison and I were reminiscing over the good times as I was being a Colts fan. But yeah, 2,564 days since this team has tasted a playoff victory. And I just thought I was very fitting after this weekend of, well, pretty amazing football, right? The playoff weekend's been excellent. Every game was just awesome to watch. So, yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. Before we do that, I had a chance last week to put Robbie and Ed on the spot. Obviously, we're all fed up with our GM, so now you're in charge, Nathan. Just a quick little warm-up exercise in 5 steps. I know you put it in the WhatsApp group, but in 5 steps less, how would you fix the Colts? Ed went sensible, as always. Robbie went for some nostalgia power, and I went for pure firepower and a bit of crazy. So 5 steps less, mate. How would you fix the Indianapolis Colts?
Okay, so first thing I do is trade Michael Pittman away and re-sign Alec Pierce with the money.
Of course.
I think Pittman really, really, I love Pittman. I don't mean this in a negative way. He's been a great Colt, but he just, I think he'll do better on better teams. And, I'm thinking Buffalo, 49ers even, he'd just be stalwart on those rosters. I would, employ probably the only philosophy from Chris Ballard of building the trenches. And my first 5 moves, and you can order them for me if you want, mate, will be building that D-line. And let's go through it. The only good player on that D-line is Leatu Latu, so he's safe. DeForest Buckner, I'm keeping Buck if his neck is, healthy. But at the same time, I'd have a conversation with Buck and say, if you want to go to a contender, you've been a great Colt, absolute legend Colt, probably be remembered forever. I'll let you go and see if I can get some draft capital for Buck. But not just Colts, but like the last 2 weeks of playoff football, one thing that has really stood out to me is D-line play, and just how much teams can stop that interior rushing. And yeah, I mean, for us, it starts we need edge, we need D tackles, we need linebackers. That's probably the 5 steps I'd take. I mean, would I sign DJ? I think I would. I'd franchise tag him, and just see what I'm getting. But I think most Colts fans are probably leaning towards that because the franchise has just hamstrung itself so much. But Yeah, that's probably how I'd start, mate. I would get rid of Pitt, get us some cap back, instantaneously give that cap to Alec Pierce, rebuild the D line entirely through free agency in the draft, and tag Daniel Jones just to see what we've got next season.
Any coaching moves?
Yeah, Shane, goodbye. Shane would be gone instantaneously. And I'd be offering someone like, I mean, I'm going to stick with when you asked us the fantasy team approach, I would bring in Jesse Minter from the Chargers as my head coach. And I'd basically say to him, blank check, go get someone, go get whoever you want as offensive coordinator. And I'd really try and model that approach that Seattle have taken. You get the defensive head coach and then you get the wonder OC. Because, right now, and one of my very close friends is a Seahawks fan. Bev, if you're listening, mate, can't wait for next week. But the Seahawks are just, they're like a top 3 franchise now. We were talking about it yesterday. They are the new powerhouse in the NFC. We can't go probably over the next 2 to 3 years without describing them pretty much as an instantaneous threat in the NFC. It's LA Rams, Eagles, Niners, and Seahawks could even be higher than all of them. Maybe not the Rams, but I would really be trying to kind of model what Seattle's doing. Not easy, of course, because I think their GMs had just an absolutely amazing year from a roster building point of view. But very long answer, but that's how I do it.
Well, you segued us nicely into stop talking about the Colts, which seem to be consistent in madness of doing the same thing every year, and to a game that was, unfortunately, it was a bit of a blowout because one team essentially had the full starting roster and the other teams had to send out the under 18s, basically. But that being said, we do have to talk about it, which was the Seahawks. God, what was it in the end? 38?
41-6.
41-6. And basically, to summarize this game, the Seahawks returned a kickoff for a touchdown, and they didn't need to score another point to win that game. So that's how bad it went for the Niners. And Niners fans, I'm sorry, because I really appreciate your team, and I really appreciate your team and head coach and GM blowing all the excuses that our head coach and GM had out of the water. So fair play to the 49ers for making it this far, but you can't muddle your way past the Seahawks, mate.
No, this is, by I think a country mile, the most complete team in the playoffs, and they've really proved it to me. I guess you'd want to argue it's the Rams, but I think we've seen the Rams special team is probably their Achilles heel right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Seattle, man, I just can't get enough for them. And good on Darnold too. I was talking to some friends last night about, Darnold is really like reinventing this idea that it doesn't really matter where you get drafted. Yeah. Because even if it doesn't work out, if you're a baller and you've got the talent, you can do it. And quite frankly, what Seattle's doing on defense as well, it's almost like watching a young version of the Legion of Boom, and they've just got these like guys full of character, full of personality. Nick Emmanwori, what an amazing rookie year. You can't take your eyes off him when he's on the field. And let's not forget, he's had some injuries this year as well. So, hasn't played a full season. But I think it really interesting move, in the kind of the heartbreak of injury, right? Zach Charbonnet, I think it was confirmed today, he's got the knee injury, so he won't be making it to next week. But Kenneth Walker's a really good back, and I'm sure many fantasy football fans and fancy football players will be aware of Kenny Walker. But I mean, he showed last week he's going to run hard, and that's one of my favourite things about watching Walker. He reminds me of kind of like a Frank Gore-esque player. Just really runs behind his pads, and I mean, I knew I was going to stand the Seahawks tonight, right? So I'm glad you started with the Seahawks, but this is just it's the most complete team in football. And next week, I mean, I think for the neutral, next week is our Super Bowl. Rams Seahawks is must-watch TV, and it's such a shame that that can't be the Super Bowl,
Yeah, it is. It is when you end up with these like lopsided AFC teams versus NFC. It does create unfair matchups, but that's just the way it's going to be, unfortunately. I never thought in the year 2025, 2026, we'd be saying that the young Legion of Boom held Philip Rivers to 12 points.
I think that goes, to really kind of celebrating how well Uncle Phil played that game. To navigate that defense in the way he did was an off like 2 days prep too. That's all he had. But I think Denver should call Uncle Phil, really. I mean, or bring Peyton Manning out of retirement.
Yeah.
Just do a vote.
What's Andrew look up to?
Phone Andrew. But yes, I think with the Niners, again, I've got a really close friend who's a Niners fan, so commiserations. But the team requires some depth. Every year they're just hamstrung by injuries. You look at, I think it's two layers to what I'm about to say. John Lynch's preparation at quarterback got them into the playoffs because Mac Jones, won meaningful games whilst Brock was injured. But then, you pair that with George Kittle, who is such a major part of that offense. And unfortunately, every single year gets injured. Every single year. And I know, I think it's Tonge, the backup tight end. Looks like a pretty decent player, and maybe one we're going to see more of in coming seasons. But that's just one position, so it's harsh for me to say. But I think Trent Williams, if he goes down, who's stepping up there? Trent Williams is nearly 40 now and is going to be a Hall of Famer. But I just think the Niners are always going to be there. They're an amazing franchise with amazing players, but I think they need a season or two of real depth roster building, and they're going to be straight back. They're going to be straight back into the playoffs and in Super Bowl contention because the team is stacked. And when you've got Shanahan, you're never out of any game.
Funny what a good head coach can do. So we'll go then to the other NFC game, which was a very cold, a very snowy, a very entertaining. The Bears versus the Rams in Chicago. It's crazy because, I was in my head, I just had the Rams as a home field advantage all the way through. But obviously they were a division winner, I guess. I always forget how it works. But they took care of business again, only just. Like I say, Caleb Williams doing his best Anthony Richardson impression. But Ben Johnson, who I like and have got a lot of respect for, I think he has to hold accountability for going on, was it a 4th and 2 or something like that, when he could have just gone for the kick in overtime?
No, I think, was it 4th and 2? I can't quite remember. It was late last night.
Yeah.
But,
I watched the highlights about 5 a.m. this morning when I got up.
I think I know what you mean, as in the debate there is, Ben Johnson throughout the whole playoffs has gone for it on fourth down numerous occasions. You get that momentum swing of that Caleb Williams pass, which, by the way, is absolutely ridiculous.
Fucking insane.
How has he done that? And, many people are going to call it a fluke, but, that ball placement to Cole Kmet was unbelievable. Fair play to the kid. That's one of the best throws we'll see all year.
Yeah.
Why not go for two then? You're Ben Johnson, you're kind of the mad scientist. I know that's Luana Rumo's name, but I mean, like, I watched the first half.
Yeah.
And when I watched the second half highlights this morning, I was just thinking, oh, you got to go for two. You got to go with Bears of one. And he just didn't. He kicked the field goal. And I mean, I think what's worse on that end play where Caleb throws the interception is, I don't know if you've seen highlights of the route that DJ Moore ran. It's terrible. He's basically jogging to the ball. I just think it's inexcusable.
Yeah. And my sort of point, what I was trying to get to, is I think, is it fair to say a rookie mistake from Ben Johnson? And I expect such a head coach who is clever and who is a bit of a gambler to learn from that sometimes you just got to take what's given to you. You can't play it like Madden every game and it works out. They did that obviously against who they played last week. I can't remember, but it worked. But this time it's just fallen short.
Yeah, and I think you don't want to put Caleb in that situation too. Or let's be honest, has thrown some ugly interceptions on the back half of the season, but has also won games, especially in the fourth quarter. It's almost become their identity. When they beat Green Bay, they were set up for that. Fascinating interview with Ben Johnson. I know it's old news now because it's last week, but if you've not seen that, go watch it. He really set the team up to have a second half comeback, and I think Caleb, has got all the skills to just be this kind of mobile gunslinger. Almost reminds me of like Philip Rivers, but in a mobile QB's body, as in he don't care, he's gonna throw it, even if it's a pick, he's throwing that ball, and that's where I think I'd want to see a little bit more from Ben Johnson next year, is like just put him in some situations where it's not going to be an interception, like that final throw, the wonder throw. It's desperation, but I reckon you could run that throw back 10 times, 8 times it's getting intercepted.
Yeah. Oh, the DB or the safety, whoever's back there, should pick it off. It should be picked, but I mean, that's just the beauty of football, right? The weather, the snow, maybe he's misjudged it a bit. It can happen, I think you're right, and I think we talked a lot about this, and I think we can talk a lot about this because we relate to it with our head coach and the quarterback situation, where, and I say this all the time, you as the head coach, you can't be emotional. You can't play the game emotionally because you'll lose. And this is my problem with Shane, who doesn't seem to learn from this, that he will play the game high, low, high. And the problem is when you've got a quarterback like whoever the Colts have got, Anthony Richardson, who is sporadic. You got Riley Leonard, who's a rookie. You got Daniel Jones, who's can get a bit like that sometimes. Sometimes you just need the head coach to go, guys, breathe. Let's just breathe, relax. Remember your basics, fundamentals, get to it, execute. And I hope because I don't want to see the Bears do good, right? Because I'm annoyed that they got to the playoffs before us this year when I've been slating them all year for taking Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren. And they're going to be the Indiana Bears soon. But I want Ben Johnson to learn from mistakes that other head coaches like Shane Steichen don't learn from, where okay, guys, we were kamikaze last year. We had to be out of desperation. We had to win some games out of desperation, but now we've built. So now we can just dial it back and save that for a last minute thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Chicago's fascinating because they've still got 3 years of Caleb's rookie deal, and if Caleb buys into that, which most
It shows.
young QBs don't do. Obviously, they get paid kind of
Yeah.
year 3, year 4, but if he buys into that, they've got 3 years to go make some major moves, and I think DJ Moore's going to be out of there. I really do. There was rumors all season that him and Ben Johnson kind of weren't getting on. The rookie, Luther Burden, the third, looks like an absolute steal. Big fan of Rome Odunze as well, and of course Colson Loveland. So, they've got the weapons and the kind of ability, if they want, I think, to go get like a crazy receiver if they want to. And obviously DJ goes, the other way. But no, I agree. It's year one, obviously, for Ben as a head coach. And I think, I think many fans, Bears fans, neutral fans, will be sitting there thinking, why didn't you go for 2? Because we've seen the Ravens do it and fail, but you were willing them on. And I used to really respect John Harbaugh because, and great camera work as well. You'd always see him communicating to Lamar saying, do you want to do this? Do you want to go for 2? And Lamar's like, yeah, I do. And he'd back him, Like, I just think when the momentum swings that much in a football game, just do it. You know what I mean? You're Ben Johnson. Imagine the plays he's got drawn up that we've not even seen yet, you know? But yeah, interesting game. And at the end of the day, the Rams get it done. Not the most pretty of wins, but the Rams absolutely get it done. And what was really interesting about this game is how well the Bears neutralized Puka Nacua.
Colts could learn, I think. No, quickly on the Rams then, because I really don't think there's much to say about this Rams team other than, to me, this is what I was talking about Ben Johnson, what Sean McVay does with this Ram teams. It's everyone do your job, everyone execute your job, and we will win games. I will win us games. Everyone. Now, he's brought Matthew Stafford in. They've won a Super Bowl. It would be easy for Matthew Stafford to go, I'm the guy. Look at me. I'm the guy. Everyone look at me. I know Puka's off-field antics this year have been a bit up and down, like nothing crazy, but like just a bit silly, a bit, But again, it would be easy for him to go, I'm the guy. Come on, everyone. It's me. Jared Verse, I'm the new guy here. Look at me. Come on, I'm taking over this. But it just seems to be with the Rams and Sean McVay. No, it's mad to me. Like it speaks to very high level man management that there's no egos in the room.
And crazy to think he's only 39.
Yeah, that's insane, isn't it? Like, yeah. And some people just have it across, elite sports, your Guardiolas, your Fergusons, McVeys, Tony Dungy's. These people just seem to have this unique man management style of, no, I don't care.
Yeah, and if you've followed the game a long time, or even if you've not, McVay and Stafford really remind me of that kind of connection that Belichick and Brady had. Dungy and Manning had, and kind of that like just that pairing where they're so in sync. And as you said, Harrison, they're not working against each other. They are purely a unit, out on the field trying to win. And I mean, I think many fans will be rooting for the Rams. So Stafford gets his second ring. But next week, Seahawks, Rams, I mean, book your Monday off. Like, this is the Super Bowl. It's coming early. This game is going to be electric to watch.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, there has to be a laser. You know, so moving on to our side of the pond, then the AFC, and the two games on that side. We'll start with the Broncos Patriots. It was the Broncos Patriots, wasn't it?
Broncos Bills.
Broncos Bills. That was it. Sorry, Jesus. And
sorry, mate, you've been up since 5. You're allowed to make a mistake.
I just hate talking about the Patriots, but so I sort of sit at two ways with this game. One, I think it's crazy that Sean McDermott's been fired. I think that's absolutely insane. If he wants to come to Indy, please, we'll have you all day. Two, I don't know if the Bills are actually cursed at this point, or what was Josh Allen thinking? What was James Cook like? Did they practice holding the ball before the game? I just like, come on, guys. And also on the referees, because I know that's a talking point. The catch TD, catch interception. It's not an interception, if you ask me. It's a catch. It's simple as that. The receiver's down with the ball. It's a catch. I think what the annoyance is was it in the very next game? It was ruled the other way around.
Yeah.
Like, this is just insane now that, again, but also saying that he can't turn the ball over 4 times and expect to win the game.
Yeah, it's obviously a horrendous way for any game to end, right?
Yeah.
Especially when it happens to the team that's driving and has the chance to win. And it was I was watching that game with there was 5 of us, and everyone's view was different.
Yeah.
And the more the camera angles changed, the more our views changed.
Yeah.
And I still don't know where I stand on that play.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you beat me to it. For me, it's the lack of trust. Like the fact that play in the playoffs is called differently within 3 hours of each other. It's just not good enough.
No.
And I agreed with Sean McDermott in how quick they came to the decision. Mm-hmm. In today's NFL, why isn't there a stoppage for like 5 minutes? So they can review every angle and they can make a decision that at least they back, and they have 5 minutes of kind of evidence and discussion to say, we're settled on it, whatever way they ruled it, right?
Yeah.
But it does also lead on to this Buffalo Bills team, who I think are kind of adored by the neutral fan, and get like these chances that nobody else gets, and it's obviously stems from Josh Allen. Everybody loves Josh, and everybody wishes Josh played for their team. There's probably only 3 teams that maybe would say no to that, right? But I just think that are they cursed? I don't know, because that game, just this year, when the Bills looked at the playoff bracket without Lamar Jackson, without Patrick Mahomes, without Daniel Jones, not hard to say that, they must have gone, this is our year. We've got Josh Allen, this is our year. And that was Allen's opportunity to go to Denver and let's face it, win even how it turned out to be a very winnable game. The ball was in his hands. Do you know what I mean? And just turnover after turnover after turnover. And, the play before half time where they had no timeouts and Josh went off running and then fumbled the ball. And they ended up giving, I think it was either 7 or 10 points in that kind of 30-second spell.
Yeah.
And we wake up this morning, or, UK fans wake up this morning, and it's all just so apologetic and sympathetic, Josh this, Josh that. I think, Matt, we had a Colts podcast. Imagine that was Daniel Jones.
Oh, yeah.
His career'd be over.
Yeah.
the media be on him so hard, right? CJ Stroud,
Mhm.
the media's on him already. Gone, career over. When Josh does this, it's fine. It's just bad luck or whatever. And I think that's the fascinating part of this Bills team. But to your first point, I think it's really, really cool for the league because Sean McDermott is a hell of a head coach, and I would take him in Indy in a second. I think he'll go on and he'll be successful. But this Buffalo team has to get better now. And this coaching hire has to be nailed because let's face it, with McDermott, it's almost Tomlin-esque. You're getting to the playoffs. You're going to be in contention. It's just been getting over that point. Good luck to whoever takes over this roster because you've got to get over that hill. And I mean, I saw some internet fandom rumors. Don't quote us. We're just a small YouTube page. Please don't quote me. The kind of internet believed that maybe Josh is at like where Andrew was. Like he was very emotional in that press conference. He's obviously just got married. Haley's pregnant. Is he going to walk away? And he's going to try my best. I can't get there type of thing. He's turning 30 now. His best years are probably ahead of him. But fascinating game. And I mean, we've talked a lot about the Bills. I was amazed by Bo Nix in this game, who I was not high on coming out of the draft. And even when we had, our friends from Denver UK page on the show, Denver Dave, kind of laughed a little bit about Bo Nix and stuff, but he was just awesome. Barely put a foot wrong. He was just awesome to watch, and then breaks his ankle.
Man,
it's just it's so gutting, isn't it? But I mean, Jared Stidham gets a chance to become legendary. This is Nick Foles all over again.
They could have Anthony Richardson for a first.
But Denver were just awesome to watch. It was just an amazing game, and I think I'll even kind of end my very long rant because I appreciate I've been going on and on and on. If Bo Nix did what Josh did, the criticism would be insane right now. But he didn't.
I think I take it very hard when you sack the head coach after your team has just turned the ball over 4 times. Like, and they were bad turnovers. They weren't just like great plays by deep. They were bad. I've seen some Colt performances like that, and tough.
And
but go
interestingly, they kept the GM who has a very, very bad reputation as being an awful drafter. They weren't happy when they drafted Josh Allen, were they? Exactly, and has he made like the kind of superstar roster that you see in other teams in the playoff have? I wouldn't say so.
No.
They need Josh to become Superman at times, and that's kind of been their identity. And that must be so amazing to watch as a fan. It probably reminiscent of when Andrew used to put this franchise on his back with T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah.
But it's just not. It's not a winning method, is it? Because dice have to roll, and dice are not always going to roll the way you want them to.
Very, very poetically put there, mate. So it sucks for Bo Nix. It really does. Like, I've got nothing against Bo Nix or Denver. Sean Payton will always be a cheat, but that's a different story. But moving on to the last game of the playoffs then. And it turns out we're still the only AFC South team with a Super Bowl. What was that? Sorry, Texas. Made the playoffs. Did you? Well, you shut the bed. The Houston Texans and CJ Stroud, who was giving it large last week, he's maybe not giving it so large this week after turning the ball over, God, how many times? They lost to the Patriots in, God, what was the score in the end, mate? The Patriots?
It was 28-16 to New
28.
England.
So even with all them turnovers, New England managed to be a pure Vrabel team and not run up the score somehow. I didn't watch this game because I hate both teams, but I watched some of the highlights. And I'm going to say something here. I want to start off with this. I really hope, I do really hope this, and I'm not saying this like in a satiric way or anything. I really hope the Texans stand by CJ Stroud because this is part of the development. Yes, he shat the bed in the playoffs and had a crap game, but got to the quarterfinal essentially as a, with fourth year QB because he's same as Richardson. Year three. Third year QB, he's learning, he's getting better every year, it seems. I think it would be a disaster now if the Texans try to move on from him or try to, sell him on. And I don't think they will because I don't think D'Amico Ryans is like that. So I just thought, if they want to get rid of him, fine. Run with Davis Mills. I'll quite happily let the Texans run with Davis Mills for a full season. I look forward to Davis Mills versus Riley Leonard. But I do feel a bit for him because you always feel when that happens for someone yeah.
I think what was really sad to watch at points, watch the whole game, was his eyes at times. He just looked lost. He looked dejected. We see it in all sports, fans of this show probably watch many sports, right? And sometimes you just see when a player is completely gone and just needs to be protected and taken off, and you just move on to the next one. And we were talking in the group chat, weren't we, about is he going to get benched? Every throw just looked like it was going to be an interception at times. And again, fascinating with the Texans because this defense is just so good. It's so amazing to watch. And I'd love to see what some sort of clever simulator program could do if they put Davis Mills in that offense last night, who won 3 games in a row when he came in regular season and played very serviceable football, right? Yeah. And I am with you. I think they should stick with CJ. I'm not paying him though. If I'm the GM of the Texans, I'm not paying him yet. I'm keeping him on his rookie deal. And I'm like, prove it, because next year, obviously, they're playing without Nico Collins, playing without Tank Dell. Joe Mixon injured for pretty much the whole season. Woody Marks looks like he's going to be a player, but they definitely need a tandem running back system if Woody Marks is your guy. Yeah. And that receiving core last night loses Dalton Schultz, which has been Stroud's kind of go-to guy over the playoffs. Xavier Hutchinson looked absolutely terrible. I wouldn't be surprised if he's cut already. And of course, they've got 2 rookies. So if I'm CJ, I'm backing myself in a prove it year when I get Nico Collins back, Tank Dell back, Schultz back. I probably get Mixon and Marks back. And then I imagine they're going to bring in more receiving power, for a guy who they ultimately want to save, because CJ doesn't need to be this superstar. That defense is so good, and I'm not comparing this, saying that, what I'm about to say, but remember when the Ravens won the Super Bowl? Joe Flacco was playing at an elite level, right? Was he doing what Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, or Drew Brees were doing? No, because he didn't need to. Just back your guy. But yeah, I think CJ's got himself into a tricky position because, if I'm the GM, I'm not paying him yet. because it's been two pretty regressive seasons now. And, you know, if they restart, they get 5 years of QB flexibility again, which they're going to need with that defense. Good luck paying them all because they're all young and they're all dogs. So, yeah, good luck. I mean, can you imagine the deal Will Anderson's going to get this off season? It's going to be legendary.
Yeah. And we'll stick with Samson Abukum. So,
how can we not talk about the old enemy? I'll segue you in.
Yeah. Sometimes you just feel dirty after supporting a team to win, and I did. And I'm like, now I want them to lose, and you know, I want them to fall to pieces. But I think this speaks to, you know, Chris Ballard doesn't like the word culture being thrown at him. But you look at what happens when you stick a head coach in there who runs a tight ship and has a good culture and has a serviceable team. Look what happens. That he's got this. I know people don't like XG over here, but I don't know what the exact conversion to American football is. But XG essentially means like what percentage of a chance did you have to score a goal, and did you score a goal? And it comes up with a number.
I guess it's just soccer's version of analytics, right?
Yeah,
that would be the most comparable way, wouldn't it?
Yeah. For me, Mike Vrabel has got this Patriots team performing way above its XG, way above its expected wins, way above. I know they had, and I have to shout out your mate who was with us in Berlin, who, when we was talking about it around the table, he said this, the Patriots fan, I forgot his name, sorry.
Reese,
yeah.
Might even be watching, maybe.
But he was saying, you know, he brought up a good point, like, you know, saying like, oh yeah, we've had a weak schedule and we've had a rank 32 schedule sort of thing. But the thing what Mike Vrabel does is he wins them games. He doesn't fuck about. So many times against the Colts, RPO, bootleg action with buddy Ryan Tannehill, and we'd lose the game. And you just think, how have we lost this team? And yeah, I just, you know, I can, what's the word? I can like Vrabel and what he's done with the Patriots, but I can also hate him at the same time for being good again.
I think it's different. I mean, like, you know, like any Colts fan and, you know, Pats fan probably with us, you know, kind of 10, 15 years ago, you know, we did hate each other. Of course we did, because we knew we'd play each other every year when it mattered. Yeah. I don't view this Pats team like that anymore. You know, I certainly don't hate them anymore. It's different. I wasn't watching it last night going, you know, I hope they lose, because why would any Colt fan want the Texans to progress, right? Yeah. You know, the AFC division is more important to me as a Colts fan than maybe worrying about New England. But yeah, the speed they've turned this around. Drake May looks like a fucking legit quarterback. They've done it again. You know, they've gone from Bledsoe to Brady to May. That is just legendary. Is it luck? I don't know.
No, it's May, not luck.
This team is just built to perform well. You know, each unit does its job really well. Obviously paired with that Keishon Boutte catch, unbelievable. The one-hander in the end zone, what a catch. But again, you know, the Patriots are a team, you know, they've got cap space, they've got the flexibility with May. You know, we could see them bring in an absolute superstar wide receiver to pair with May and, you know, give the receiving room a little bit of an upgrade, because let's face it, the kind of critique of, it's not a critique, right? New England have had an easy schedule this year. Yeah. Many people will try hold that against them. I'm of the opinion that you need to win your easy schedule. And it's going to get harder next year, of course it is, because, you know, they they're now going to get a completely flipped schedule. But they
and teams will have tape on them, and it just happens. It just happens. Yeah.
But they have the ability to really support Drake if they want to, I believe, with their cap space and so on. And they spent a lot of money. I think Troy Aikman mentioned it was in like I think 300 odd mil with contracts as well this off season. But I mean, it's worked. Like Milton Williams looks like he's going to be a superstar, and makes you scratch your head going, how do the Eagles let him go? But yeah, just I think the Patriots are back. And I mean, can you see a way where they lose to a backup who hasn't thrown a ball for 2 seasons?
I can't. As much as I say, I can't, but I guess if you're a Denver fan, God, easy for me to say, you've just got to hope and a prayer. You just got to hope and a prayer, and you've got to take advantage of the fact you're coming into this as the underdog. Everyone's written you off.
Yeah,
and if it was me and I was Sean Payton, I would do my best to have 4 99 11-minute drives would consisting of like 50 plays of just run for 6 yards, run for 2 yards, run for 1 yard. I would do my best just to keep the ball away from Drake May.
And interestingly, J.K. Dobbins might be back for the Broncos. His practice window opened Wednesday of last week. So they might be able to do that. They've got McLaughlin, RJ Harvey, and now J.K. Dobbins. They could literally run a 3-back committee and just kind of, it's Sean Payton. He's going to protect Stidham way better than most head coaches would. That system can be fast, and we're going to see ball out quickly, screens, jet sweeps, whatever. But yeah, I think it's going to be another Super Bowl where we're watching New England play, unfortunately. And I mean, they had the opportunity. Like every team in the league had the opportunity to go get Mike, and they didn't. And New England did. And I mean, I can see this being, 10, 15-year partnership. Vrabel's an ex-Patriot. Why in the world would you want to upset that?
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Right, that's about it for the playoffs. Nathan, I've got your little game as always to end out the show. For those new joiners on Southbound tonight, I make up little games for Nathan, Ed, and Robbie all to play at the end of the show, just to keep it fun because the Colts aren't fun. And this game, it's Colts-centric, so that will make you happy, Nathan. This game, who said it? Chris Ballard or AI? So I went into an AI function service, Copilot. There are other platforms available. I don't get paid for this. If you're listening, Copilot, which you probably are, I went into an AI platform and said, can you give me 5 quotes what you would give your losing NFL franchise for your end of season press conference to hype the fans up for next year? I got it to give me that, and then I took some from Chris Ballard, and you have to decipher which is which. It's not as easy what you think it's going to be. So I'll read the quote once. If you want me to read it again, you can do. I'll ask you to make your guess, and then I'll tell you if you're right or wrong.
Okay.
So the first quote, just to clarify as well, these are from Chris Ballard's press conferences between the years of 2021 and 2025, because believe it or not, they've not fucking changed. Okay, so quote number 1, was this Chris Ballard or was this AI? Not the way we wanted it to end. Tough way to end, but encouraged. I feel really good about where we're going.
That's Chris Ballard.
That is Chris Ballard. You got that right. Okay, so 1-0, I guess. The second one, we didn't meet the standard this year, but we're building a team that will make this city proud, and we're doing it the right way.
I think that's last year, Chris Ballard.
No, that was AI.
Oh, okay.
1-1. Okay, so next. This isn't a rebuild, it's a reset. And when we hit the field next season, you'll see a tougher, faster, hungrier team wearing your colours.
AI. That's too flavourful,
Yeah.
Ballard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2-1, you're winning. Let me find the next one. Okay. The next one. You deserve better. We know that. And we're attacking every day this off season to make sure we get better.
Oh, I do vaguely remember something along those lines. Say it again.
You deserve better. We know that. And we're attacking it every day this off season to make sure we get better.
I'm going to go with AI because he almost never admits that it's a problem. He always tries to say that it's like a successful culture and whatnot. Am I right?
You're right. 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 I try to throw you off because he does always say like about attacking the day or something like that. Some sort of bullshit mantra. So that's 3-1. So this one to win it, mate. There we go. Just disappointed, extremely disappointed. I hear the criticism and it's warranted. A lot of that falls on my shoulders.
Chris Ballard.
Yeah, you got it. So that's a convincing win. You managed to decipher Chris Ballard from AI.
It's really sad that I can do that.
And this one for a bonus one, just because it's the last quote I got. We're not asking for blind faith. We're asking you to watch what we do next because our actions will speak louder than any promises.
AI.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Again, he would never admit publicly that there's a problem. He never does that. Weirdly,
I'll make sure to tell AI that next time I ask.
Because of how bad we've been. But yeah, we've got a whole off season to talk about that.
Yeah. I'd just like to thank everyone for joining tonight and listening to the show. If you could and if you would, and if you're still listening at this point, be a friend and tell a friend. We don't just talk about the Colts. We have plenty coming up this off season, although I've not told anyone what it is yet. So join us next week. Is next week the thingy round?
The championship round, yeah.
Championship round, yeah. Next week, the semi-finals of the playoffs and the championship round. As I guess, as the Rams head to Seattle to face the Seahawks, and Jared Stidham and the Broncos hope for the high horses that they manage to get past the Patriots. Thanks for all joining, and I guess join us after the Broncos 52, the Patriots 0.